Son of a bitch. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Well, I've been in her office for less than a minute and I broke her diploma. I said I broke her fucking diploma. What do you mean, why? I barely touched it and it fell off the wall. I was sitting down, and then I wasn't sure it was sitting in the right place. Well, her secretary just showed me in, told me to have a seat and left. Yes, Joanna, there's a couch. And there's an identical couch right next to it. It's like some kind of fucked up Rorschach test right off the bat. I gotta go. She's gonna be here in a minute. I will. Later today. Oh my God, are you my sister or my parole officer? I will call you on my way home. Yeah, I love you too.
Hi, Jackie. I'm Lydia Jacobs. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a seat. I'm sorry you had to wait.
It's okay, I was here early.
My secretary offer you something to drink?
She did, I'm fine.
Good.
Okay.
So what brings you to a therapist?
My sister, Joanna. She's worried about me.
Should she be?
No.
Okay, good.
Am I supposed to say something?
It's up to you.
Don't you ask me questions or something?
Do you want me to ask you questions?
Not really.
Then no.
Okay, the thing is, Joanna's been seeing a therapist for years and swears by her, but I'm just not.
How many years?
I don't know, like 15, I think.
Your sister's been in therapy for 15 years and still swears by the same therapist?
Yes.
Does she have schizophrenia?
No, just your garden variety issues.
Maybe she should swear at her therapist.
Exactly.
Did you want to say anything else about Joanna?
Do you want me to talk about Joanna?
Not necessarily.
Then no. Okay, I'm out.
Start anywhere. Gets easier.
Promise?
No.
Well, not to disappoint you, but I come from a good home with 2 caring parents who gave Joanna and me everything we ever asked for.
Like what?
What do you mean, like what did they give us?
No. Let's stick to what they gave you. Joanna has her own therapist.
I probably had every Carolyn Keene book ever written.
A lot of Nancy Drew.
And a whole lot of Hardy Boys.
Enviable.
Yes, I was replete with secrets, quests, and clues from the age of 8.
What else?
Hundreds of horseback riding lessons. And I had the entire Dawn Doll collection.
Okay, so if I were going to ask you to be more specific,
I had Dawn, Angie, Glory, Jessica, Connie, Beauty Pageant Gary, of course, and my 2 personal favorites, Long Locks and Fancy Feet.
I meant be more specific about your childhood.
I know what you meant. I'm not here because of my childhood. I'm not.
Okay, fast forward to the present. Tell me about yourself now.
I'm a systems analyst.
Do you like it?
Love it. I'm good at it.
What makes you good at it?
I'm innovative. I'm resourceful. If there's a problem, I don't sleep until it's fixed, and I have a dedicated staff.
So loyalty is important to you?
Productivity is important to me.
Satisfied with your standard of living?
Yes, they pay me very well.
So you're happy there?
Yes, I've always wanted to work there. I've never looked anywhere else.
Would you consider yourself lucky to have a job that you love?
I don't know about lucky. Determined, maybe. I've always been like a dog with a bone when I wanted something, and I've always gotten what I want.
Okay. Are you married?
Divorced. 11 years. And no, I don't want to talk about that either.
Okay, I'm starting to see why your sister's still in therapy after 15 years.
No, she talks. Talks and talks. Drives me nuts.
Why?
Why? You of all people should know what it sounds like to hear someone drone on and on about their problems.
Ordinarily, yes. Right now, no. Do you have any children?
No. My choice.
You don't care for children?
Quite the contrary. Kids, well, particularly little kids, delight the shit out of me.
What about them delights your shit the most?
It varies. Some ages it's their candor, others their curiosity.
Okay, what's your favorite age range with which to interact?
Between 3 and 10.
Why?
Because at 3, they're just starting to string words together to form sentences. So you get to hear them articulate the same kind of wonder related to clouds as the toilet.
And after 10?
After 10, they start walking to log rides.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, weird metaphor.
You have my attention.
When I was 11, I went to an amusement park with my cousin Charlotte, who was 10. It was so hot that day. From clear across the park, you could see the tracks to the log ride. We'd both been looking forward to riding that thing for months. She took one look at it and started jumping up and down and screaming, "There it is, there it is." And finally, she just took off running for it, full speed, while I walked behind her. I can remember staring at her thinking, what if she gets all the way there and the log ride's broken today? She'd be running all that way for nothing.
So you were annoyed?
I was annoyed at first. And then I realized even if I did run, I'd only be doing it because she was. Not because I couldn't help myself. And then I was crying. Just like that. Cried and walked all the way to the log ride.
Why do you think you were crying?
I was jealous. Still am.
Tell me more about your decision not to have children.
It's not that complicated, really. I just knew I'd make a terrible parent.
But you had good parents.
Mm-hmm.
Are they still alive?
Yes.
Still together?
Divorced.
When were they divorced?
When I was 11. And before you suggest otherwise, they were good parents after the divorce, too.
Well, I wasn't going to suggest anything. I found that people who admire the way that they were raised often think they'll be good parents, though. Vice versa.
Look, from the day my father moved out until we went to college, my mother, despite working full-time, got us to school by 7:30 a.m. every morning. She had dinner on the table by 6 p.m. every evening. And she was making like freaking Rice Krispie treats or dioramas at 11 p.m. every night. She was amazing.
Okay. What about your dad?
Same thing.
Well, couldn't have been exactly the same thing because he didn't live at home anymore, right?
You know what I mean? I mean, even after he had kids with his second wife and moved across the country, he still made sure we knew how much he loved us.
How did he do that?
I told you, he was very generous.
And Dawn dolls don't come cheap. How else?
He always told us. I mean, every time we talked to him, he'd say, "I love you to the moon and back."
Why the eye roll?
I didn't roll my eyes.
You did, actually.
I don't know. Maybe it became a little effusive for my taste. I have no idea.
Became a little effusive, so it wasn't offensively effusive in the beginning?
It was never offensively effusive. Okay, maybe it became uncomfortably effusive after he moved away and I only talked to him a few times a year.
You only talked to him a few times a year after he moved away?
No, I only saw him a few times a year. We talked more than that.
How much more?
A few times a week when he first moved out.
And then?
And then what?
You specified a few times a week when he first moved out. Did it change over time?
Yes. It was less after he had his kids, but I think...
How long after he moved out did he have kids with his new wife?
I don't know, it was quick.
How quick?
A year, I think.
That is quick.
Okay, the point is, it was hard to keep the same connection when he didn't live at home anymore, okay? So maybe his saying that he loved me to the moon and back when we did speak felt a little contrived, I guess.
So it felt disingenuous?
I didn't say that.
But you were uncomfortable.
Yes, I can remember a few times when I was. Which is probably unfair because he was doing the best that he could under some pretty complicated circumstances. They both were. Regardless, as far as me choosing not to be a parent, it simply boils down to the fact that I knew I was too self-involved to be a good one. There's nothing more statistically or psychotherapeutically significant than that.
Noted. Why does Joanna think you need to see a therapist?
I don't know. Why does Joanna think her dog knows how to spell?
Okay, why does Joanna say you need to see a therapist?
She says I haven't been acting like myself for a while. Since my cat died.
Oh, I'm sorry, when was that?
About 6 months ago, on Memorial Day.
What is it she says is different about your behavior?
She says that I'm irritable all the time.
Are you?
Well, I get irritated every time she says I'm not acting like myself, and she says that all the time, so...
Why does that irritate you?
Because she's being melodramatic. Plus, she's concluded that the answer to all my problems is to get another cat, and she won't let it go.
So she's detected other problems besides irritability.
She thinks she has, yeah.
And she thinks these problems started when your cat died.
No, she's always maintained that I have problems. She just thinks that they're worse since my cat died.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, when she says you're not acting like yourself, she's not saying you've had a total personality shift since your cat died. She's saying the problems you had before your cat died are worse since it died. Is that right?
Probably.
And other than irritability, what would she say some of these problems are?
Are you going to be billing me or my sister?
Sometimes it's easier for patients to describe what others have observed in them rather than to admit to their own symptoms.
Symptoms. I have symptoms now. I've gone from problems to symptoms already.
Okay, maybe symptoms was the wrong word. But you came here for a reason, and as strong-willed as you are, I doubt very much it's so I could give you a hall pass for your sister. I'm good at my job. I've got a diploma in everything. You must have come here with a goal in mind that we can work on together.
Would wanting a glass of water constitute a goal?
It's a start.
Actually, I'll get it if that's okay. I'd like to get up.
Sure.
It's just that I sit at my job all day and I get tired of sitting.
Me too.
Well, we both can't walk around. That would be weird. Well, since Memorial Day. Okay, look, I broke your diploma.
Why?
Why does everyone keep asking me that? I didn't do it on purpose. I mean, I barely touched it and it fell off the wall.
And you
And I panicked. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, any chance you're not going to analyze the shit out of this?
Nope. But for now, go on about your cat.
Thank you. Okay, I will admit that I haven't been sleeping very well since he died. Slept on my chest for 18 years, so you'd think it'd be easier now that I can roll over at will, but it's not.
So maybe you are more irritable, maybe because you're not sleeping as well. Possible?
It's possible. I haven't been as social as I used to be. I mean, I've always enjoyed my private time, but there might be more of that now.
Has your sister picked up on that too?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fair observation.
Yes.
And she thinks if you get another cat, you'll feel better.
Yep.
Are you considering it?
What, getting another cat? No. I don't want to go through losing another one.
Well, that might not be for another 18 years.
It's not going to be any easier when I'm 61 than it was when I was 43. Oh my God. I'm one cat away from 61. Motherfuck! So there's that.
Does getting old bother you?
Not every minute.
How often?
Every minute.
So if you get another cat, that carries you into your 60s. That's not that old, you know.
Okay, fine, then I'll just call you when my sister wants me to get a tortoise.
I'm just saying people live well past their 60s these days.
I'm not afraid of dying. I just don't want to get old to do it.
What is it about getting old that scares you?
Prune dependency.
Fair enough. What else?
Forgetting the shit you don't want to forget and remembering the shit you don't want to remember.
Which one you want to remember?
Anything I'm not proud of, I guess.
Like what?
Well, let's see. I peed my pants once in a carnival moonwalk when I was 15 and everybody rolled around in my pee. I could do without that little gem.
Understandable. And what don't you want to forget?
How to make fucking toast? I don't know. I already lose everything I own 10 times a day. I found my TV remote control in my refrigerator yesterday. Seriously.
My mother went skydiving last year. She was in her 70s.
Yeah, but does she remember doing it?
We took pictures.
Last year, I, on the other hand, fell and broke my left foot, my right wrist, and my tailbone.
Were you skydiving?
No, I was doing step aerobics. Evidently, I was calcium deficient.
Evidently.
It was kind of funny. I mean, I couldn't use crutches because of my wrist, so the only way I could get around is to crawl on my hands, well, my hand and knees.
You're right. That sounds hysterical.
Actually, I got pretty good at it. I couldn't cook or get into the bathtub by myself, but I managed to maneuver pretty well otherwise.
Did you have help?
In the beginning. Joanna and my folks, they live like 6 hours away, so all my friends took turns helping me out.
Sound like you have wonderful friends.
I'm shockingly lucky in that regard. But I hated having to rely on them.
Gave you a glimpse of what it could be like when you're old, having to rely on other people?
Yes, I hated it.
Is that why they stopped helping?
What do you mean?
You said in the beginning they took turns helping. Did they stop? Did you ask them to stop because it made you uncomfortable?
No. Everybody just got on with their lives. There are soccer games to watch, dogs to vaccinate. Everybody's lives are overbooked as it is. So, I brushed my teeth over the toilet. I ate a lot of bologna sandwiches. And I learned how to wipe my butt with my non-dominant hand, which is harder to do than you might think.
Did you ask them for more help?
No, I managed. I did. I mean, obviously, I did. But I got through it because I got better, you know?
So it gave you a different glimpse of what being old could look like for you because you can't get younger.
Yes. So there's that. Fred Astaire was amazing.
I was partial to Gene Kelly.
No, Fred Astaire was the name of my cat. He even died in the world dog lovers love Freddie. But probably because he was more like a dog than a cat. I mean, I know everybody says that, but he really was. He greeted me at the door when I came home. And he used to fetch tinfoil balls and bring them back to me. I even walked him on a leash.
Have you ever had a dog?
No. I love them to death, though. Probably more than cats. As a species, anyway. I mean, I see a dog any size, any breed, I melt like butter.
When I get one.
I don't know, I just think dogs require a special kind of home. I'm too...
Self-involved?
What?
Well, I'm sorry. Earlier you said you were too self-involved to have children. I thought that might extend to dogs. Does it?
I don't know, probably. I was going to say busy. I just think dogs need more attention than cats. It's too easy to disappoint a dog.
Tell me more about Freddie.
He was always by my side. In the kitchen, in the laundry room. I'd look down and there he was. And if I sat down, he wanted to be on my lap. Which was a little disconcerting when I was on the toilet, but he could not be denied. My boyfriend hated it. But then again, my boyfriend hated cats in general.
Oh, is your boyfriend also the reason you never got another cat?
He died.
No, I know. I'm asking if he's the reason you never replaced him.
No, my boyfriend died.
When?
The same day Fred Astaire died.
Oh God, I hope you mean the dancer.
No, the cat.
Jackie, I'd say you buried the lead. Okay. Go on.
Well, let's just say that Memorial Day has a whole new meaning for me now, that's for sure.
And you wonder why your sister's worried about you?
Look, my sister is a great person, but she worries about everything. She wants me to quit eating eggs, for God's sake.
Why?
Who gives a shit? They're eggs.
Okay, well, breakfast foods aside, if my sister knew that my boyfriend and my cat died on the same day, she'd be a little worried about me.
She doesn't know that my boyfriend died. She thinks we broke up.
Why?
It's a long story.
Well, we have 15 years, give or take.
My sister's a good person.
So you said.
Okay, but along with being a good person comes a certain degree of judging others.
Does it?
Yes.
Are you judgmental?
No. I can't afford to be.
So your sister's a better person than you are?
Much.
In what way?
I don't know, she just is. She doesn't lie, she doesn't steal.
You do?
Sometimes.
What have you stolen?
Stuff? I don't know.
Like what?
I shoplifted a vacuum cleaner once in college.
Upright or handheld?
Upright.
Impressive. But that's when you were in college, right?
Yes.
What have you stolen lately?
I take things from work sometimes.
Like paper clips or fax machines?
More like paper clips. Look, I'm not here because my sister's worried about me stealing. I don't have a problem with stealing.
But you steal more than she does.
Yes, I have probably stolen more than her.
Okay, and but for this life of crime, you would have told your sister, your boyfriend died instead of telling her that he broke up with you.
I didn't tell her that he broke up with me. I told her I dumped him.
Why not tell her he dumped you?
What difference does it make?
I don't know yet.
Probably because I didn't want her to feel sorry for me.
You just lost your cat of 18 years and your boyfriend of how many years?
10.
Of 10 years, and you didn't want her to feel sorry for you.
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because, like I said before, my cat was old. 18-year-old cats commonly die.
How old was your boyfriend?
52.
52-year-old men don't commonly die.
No.
What was the reason you gave her for breaking up with him?
I told her I was tired of him and wanted to move on.
So instead of soliciting a shoulder to cry on, you preferred she think you callously dumped your boyfriend of 10 years because you were bored.
I wanted her to think it was my idea, that's all.
In the hope of avoiding judgment from her?
A certain kind of judgment, yeah?
This might take 15 years.
He was married. And he worked for my company. And she knew that a married man in my company, who I occasionally referenced in casual conversation, had just died. She's neurotic, not stupid.
So she didn't know your boyfriend was married?
No, no one knew.
Did any of your friends or family know he died?
No. Look, I barely told any of my friends or family that I even had a boyfriend. We had to be careful. Just let everybody think I was a loner. closet lesbian.
But the few that did know you in a relationship with someone, they didn't know he died?
Correct.
Because they all would have figured it out and judged you?
No, because I didn't want them to feel sorry for me.
Even though you experienced two tragedies on the same day.
Losing a cat is not a tragedy.
How about losing your boyfriend? Is that a tragedy?
It was difficult.
Not a tragedy.
Tsunamis are tragedies. Losing a child is a tragedy. Losing your married boyfriend is not a tragedy.
How about losing your husband? Is that a tragedy?
Sure it was for his wife, yeah.
But not for you.
It's completely different.
How so?
It just is. I knew our time together was finite. I knew I was just borrowing him.
Like a lawnmower?
You know what I mean. She had plans to grow old with him.
What did your plans with him include?
I don't know. We didn't make plans.
Why not?
He was married.
Did you ask him to leave his wife?
God, no.
Mistresses never ask their lovers to leave their wives?
I don't know what mistresses do as a general rule. I didn't get the handbook. I'm just saying I did not.
Okay. Do you want him to leave his wife?
No.
Why not?
She was part of him. He loved her. He needed her.
What was he doing with you all those years?
I have no idea.
Did you ask?
No, I just figured that I gave him things that she couldn't. But not everything. We were married for 30 years, for God's sake.
Tell me about him.
What do you want to know?
I don't know. What'd you like about him? Was he smart? Was he funny?
Yes, and very.
Was he a good person?
He was cheating on his wife.
So you were both bad people. Unlike your sister. Was he a master criminal too?
You know, I never asked.
Okay, so you had adultery in common. What else?
Besides work, nothing really. He was a diehard Republican. I'm a liberal. He was an avid hunter. I can't even eat food with a face. And he was a homophobe. I often wish I were gay.
But despite all that, you were in love with him?
Not at first.
What changed?
I don't know. I don't. I think because he knew he could never give me everything I needed emotionally. But he wanted to. I mean, I've been with other men that could give me more, but with Joe, I just felt so honored by his effort.
Did he tell you he wished he could give you more?
No. That's how I knew.
How was the sex?
Good. Great. But that's probably because we only slept together when we were on business trips we had to take together anyway, so it was infrequent.
How infrequent?
I don't know. Once a month on average, sometimes twice a month. Sometimes we'd go months in between. It depended. I became a sex camel.
So you only had sex with him when you were traveling out of town together on business?
Yeah. I thought his wife deserved to be with him when he was in town. I mean, he asked me sometimes, but I'd refuse.
What was your relationship like in between?
What do you mean?
I mean, did you often go weeks or months without talking to each other outside of the office?
No, he called me every night on his way home from work.
Every night?
Well, every weeknight. His secretary's nosiness was matched only by her pathological need to gossip, so his drive home was the only time that we had an opportunity to talk.
Did you call him after hours?
No, I didn't know when he was free to talk.
So you never talked to him when he was home?
God, no. I didn't even want him to text me when he was home, let alone call me on the phone.
Even if she wasn't home with him at the time?
What's the difference whether she was at home? It was her home. I didn't care if she was in it.
Okay. Did you ask him to call you every night on the way home?
No, I wasn't 14. I just liked doing it, I guess. Honestly, I don't know why he did it.
You don't?
No. I don't know, maybe he just wanted to commiserate about work. I have no idea.
The man needed to commiserate about work every day of the week. How much did he hate his job?
Well, no job's perfect. Because I worked there too, he could complain in shorthand. I mean, isn't that typically the aphrodisiac for workplace lovers?
Or maybe he just liked talking to you.
Yes, we like talking to each other.
Every night.
Yes, every night.
What'd you talk about besides work?
Besides work, everything but hunting, Hannity, and homosexuals.
Like what?
Oh my God, I don't know, everything. His kids, his parents, his dog.
He had kids?
Yes, 2 daughters. One in college, one just graduated college.
Tell me about his dog.
You want me to talk about his dog?
I do.
Her name's Riot. She's a border collie. She has one brown eye and one blue eye. They adored each other. He never went anywhere without her if he could help it. Oh my God. Riot.
What about Riot?
She must have been so confused when he didn't come home. Poor baby.
I'm sure she was.
Another reason not to get a dog.
Did he take advantage of these nightly phone calls to tell you how much he loved you?
He didn't do that.
He didn't do what? Tell you he loved you?
No. He wasn't exactly what you would call expressive. He once told me that he hadn't cried since he was 10. 10. And I believed him. He did tell me that he cherished me once. And I'm pretty sure he was drunk at the time.
Do you think he was in love with you?
I don't know.
Did you ever ask?
No,
Why not?
I didn't want to.
You didn't want to ask or you didn't want to know?
I didn't need to know. And I really didn't want to ask.
Why didn't you really want to ask?
Because I didn't think it was a fair question to ask a married man. I didn't think I had the right to put him in that position.
You didn't think you had the right to ask the question?
Of a married man? No. He already told me he loved his wife. So at that point, I'd just be forcing him into some crude game of percentages. You know, do you love her more than you love me? How much more? It's just gross.
So you never asked him if he loved you?
No. Well, wait, once. I did ask him once.
What did he say?
He said it was complicated. That it wasn't what he felt for his wife.
How did that make you feel? Okay, I'm going to promise not to overuse that one, but it is a standard therapist go-to.
How did that make me feel? I felt relieved.
Relieved?
Yeah, relieved. Thrilled, even.
Why?
Because that meant he didn't feel a need to lie to me. And that meant more to me than anything else.
But you were in love with him.
Yes.
Let's say he had gotten divorced. Would you have wanted to marry him then?
No.
Why not?
A, I already knew from experience that I made a terrible wife. And B, frankly, he wasn't very nice to his wife.
But he was nice to you.
It's easier for men to be nice to their mistresses.
Really? Why?
Because we don't bitch when they bring home kidney beans instead of garbanzo. And we don't make them buy us tampons.
So less familiarity breeds less contempt.
Well, she once told him that she, and I'm quoting verbatim now, hated him for throwing the broccoli stems away. And he once called her, again, quoting, a fucking baby for snoring. Snoring. So yeah.
And you ascribe that level of contempt to familiarity alone.
I ascribe that level of irrational contempt to familiarity alone, yeah. I take it you don't.
I don't know. I didn't know either of them. I just find it interesting that you do to the exclusion of all other possibilities.
Well, like you say, you didn't know either of them.
Did you tell him you loved him?
No. Well, sort of.
Sort of? Like, you said it in Portuguese?
No, I used to type 458 at the end of my texts.
You lost me.
It was my secret code for I love you. You know, on the phone, the I is on the 4, the L is on the 5, the U is on 8.
Okay, Portuguese might have been easier. Did he manage to break this code?
I told him what it was before I started doing it.
So you did tell him you loved him. In English. Using letters.
Yes, okay, I told him I was in love with him once.
What did he say?
He said he had to go through security.
I did not see that coming.
He was in the airport.
So you told him over the phone when he was running to catch a plane.
I didn't mean to tell him at all. It just sort of came out.
Then what happened?
He hung up to go through security.
Naturally. Then what happened?
I threw up.
You threw up?
Twice.
I guess it's a good thing you didn't tell him in person.
I guess it was.
And you never talked about it again?
No, he called me from his gate.
What did he say?
He said he was walking on air.
How'd that make you feel?
I thought you said you weren't going to overuse that one.
Trust me, Jackie, I'm showing admirable restraint.
I felt shocked. I didn't think he was going to call me at all, let alone be happy about it.
So you thought he'd reject you?
Yeah. I mean, I quit playing by the rules, so he had every right to pick up his toys and go home.
There were rules?
Every relationship has rules.
Fair enough, but I'm trying to figure out, did you write the rules? Did he write the rules? Did you write them together?
Notaries were not involved, okay? The rules were just understood mutually.
Okay, so despite this blatant violation of these mutually understood rules, he was walking on air.
He said he was, yeah.
Did you think he was lying?
Being polite, maybe. So I didn't feel embarrassed or humiliated.
For loving him?
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
8 years, I think.
Okay, so from that point to the point that he died, did you still think he was being polite? Jackie, the Queen of England is not that polite. Look, let's hope for the sake of argument that we can agree you both had a strong attachment to each other. An attachment, by the way, that he made a point of reinforcing virtually every night of the week for 10 years, which is more years, probably more conversation than the average marriage survives. How is it not a tragedy when one of you dies?
I'm just saying that I was no angel, okay? And like I said before, I wasn't in love with him when I started sleeping with him. And for the record, he's the second married man with whom I've had an affair.
Only angels experience tragedies then?
Okay, maybe angel was the wrong word. I wasn't a victim. And I didn't want to be treated like one. And I still don't.
How did he die?
He had a heart attack at the gym. They found him slumped over a machine.
Was he already gone when they found him?
No, he died the next day.
Did you get to see him before he died? Did you know he had a heart attack before he died?
Yes. Everybody in the company found out almost immediately. I mean, in my case, it was Sunday. My secretary called me to tell me that he'd been rushed to the hospital and that it didn't look good.
How'd you hold up during that call?
She left a voicemail, actually.
Tell me about the message.
What?
What did she say on the message?
That he'd had a heart attack at the gym.
What else?
Something about using a company credit card to send flowers, but I'm going to say that the heart attack was a salient takeaway.
You tell me everything you remember about the message in detail?
It was 6 months ago. I don't remember every word.
I'd bet good money that you do, but paraphrasing's fine.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Would it help if you got up and walked through it?
Helped what? Help me feel like an asshole? Yeah.
Give it a try. I think it'll jog your memory.
So you want me to get up and act it out?
No, not act it out. I want you to get up and walk through it as it happened. Look, it's hard sometimes for patients to describe painful experiences just sitting across a room and staring at me. So think of it as athletic hypnosis. Give it a try. Start from where you were doing what you were doing before the message, before you listened to the message.
Okay. I walked into the house carrying 3 bags of groceries. I left my cell phone at home to charge, and when I walked past it, I could see that the message light was blinking. This is stupid.
Go ahead. You're doing fine.
Like I said, the message light was blinking, so I put my bags on the counter and I picked up my phone. And even though I'd only been gone for an hour, it showed 8 missed calls and 4 fucking voicemails, so I was irritated. Anyway, I called my voicemail, put it on speaker, and listened to my messages while I put away my groceries. The first message was from Joanna, of course. Something. Oh, about a cake that she saw at Comfort Bakery that read, "Congratulations on your new glasses," and how weird she thought that was. The next message was from my vet. Something about Freddie not responding to the medications the way she hoped, and to give her a call to discuss next steps. So I thought I'd call her once I got through all my voicemails. And then the next message was from my secretary. She said she was sorry for calling me on a holiday weekend, but that it was urgent. And that she'd been trying to reach me directly, but it kept going to voicemail. Blah, 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 blah. I just started tuning her out. As I put away my pasta and my peanut butter. And finally, she spit out, Joe Martin had a heart attack. At first I thought I must have misunderstood that. But the more she kept talking, the more I realized, no, I heard that right. And I thought, I've got to get down there. She said St. Luke's, right? And I can't find my keys. Where are my keys? Where are my fucking keys? And she did say St. Luke's. I mean, that would make sense. Unless, did she say the gym? Because that's closer to St. John's. Shit, did she say Luke's or John's? And where are my motherfucking keys? And at this point, I'm dumping on my person and ripping through grocery bags like a crazy person. And all the while, she's going on about appointments that she has to cancel for him because she can't reach his secretary. And other calls that she has to make, and on and on and on. Finally, I saw the keys to the door. So I grabbed my phone and I ran to the door and I was just about to run out. When I heard her say, his wife is with him now. And she promised us to call with updates when she knows more. No. I forgot. I forgot.
What happened next?
I don't know.
What's the next thing you remember?
Closing the door. I just remember closing the door.
How'd you find out when he died?
My secretary called the next day. She was crying.
Were you?
I don't think so. I told myself to keep it together. I think I did.
What was your grieving process like after he died?
I gained 10 pounds.
Before that, did you go to the funeral?
No, oh my God, no.
Why not?
Because why would I go?
Why does anyone go to a funeral?
To pay respects to the family. There'd be nothing respectful about my presence.
Not the only reason people go to funerals, but we'll put a pin in that. Did anybody who would have been at the funeral know about your relationship with Joe?
I don't think so. Like I said, we were crazy careful.
Then how would it have been disrespectful?
I would have known. I would have known.
So you were too ashamed to go?
I guess so.
Were you always that ashamed of the relationship?
Not ashamed enough to end it, apparently. No. I was ashamed. I was just more ashamed to admit I was ashamed and did nothing to end it.
Why do you think you were so ashamed of it?
Gee, I don't know, Doc. You tell me. I was sleeping with another woman's husband.
Did you know her?
No. I saw her at some company events, but I steered clear of her.
Are you religious?
No, I'm an atheist.
Was he religious?
No, he didn't believe in God either.
Okay, so you don't believe you violated a sacred biblical vow, and you never made a promise to her personally to stay away from her husband.
What's the difference whether I made her a promise personally? I didn't promise my mailman I wouldn't slit his throat either, but I'm pretty sure a jury would convict me if I did.
Okay, so you consider marriage to be more of an empirical absolute than a social construct.
I have no idea what you just said. But I'm guessing at this point that you're either divorced or gay.
Neither.
Then what are we talking about?
Infidelity is oftentimes a responsibility of the spouses involved. That's what I'm saying. And maybe you don't want to hear that, but sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a responsibility of the spouses involved.
So you're saying that my affair with her husband was her fault, while I, on the other hand, am a terrific person.
Jackie, all I know about you for sure, based on your unfortunate carnival moonwalk incident, is that you don't have a terrific bladder. I have no idea what kind of person you are. By the same token, you have no idea what kind of person she is. So I find it interesting that you choose to assume she was irreproachable. Regardless, am I saying that your affair with her husband was her fault? No. But I am saying that some spouses bear some responsibility in these cases because it's often harder to confront the pre-existing conditions than it is to be complicit in the duplicity.
Complicit in what led to the duplicity, maybe, but complicity in the duplicity itself, no. And hello, I'm Dr. Seuss.
Believe me, Jackie, it's often both.
So you're saying that if I were the betrayed wife sitting here right now, you would not be holding my hand, handing me a box of puffs, and telling me not to blame myself?
No. That would be your mother's job, not your therapist.
Then you're a terrible therapist.
No, probably a terrible mother. Okay, I know you didn't want to go here, but in 10 words or less, why did your marriage end?
He cheated on me.
You don't get extra credit for doing it in less than 5.
None taken.
Did you picture her with horns and a pitchfork?
No, more like Cabbage Patch dolls and a jump rope. She was young.
Did you blame her for the collapse of your marriage?
No, but it was an entirely different situation.
How so?
He was very unhappy, and I made a terrible wife.
So no matter what side of the marital affair you're on, you assume total responsibility.
You're twisting my words.
No, I'm echoing your words.
Well, then you're taking them out of context.
Okay, I'm going to try and echo back what I think I heard this session in context. You tell me if I got anything wrong, okay? Luck plays no role in your having a good job, but you're shockingly lucky to have good friends. You're too self-involved to have children, and in fact, your lifestyle would inevitably disappoint a dog. But as far as I can tell, you never asked your lover of 10 years for anything that could be considered so much as inconvenient. You picked a married man twice, even though you're absolutely secure in the knowledge that such relationships have no claim to a future. Within 5 minutes of sitting down, you told me your professional value unequivocally. But an hour later, and not for my lack of pressing you on it, you couldn't give me one reason why your boyfriend would choose to regularly speak to you on the telephone for 10 years, let alone sleep with you. Speaking of which, the sex was only good because you never asked him to buy you garbanzo beans or tampons. You picked a man who was so emotionally unavailable that he hadn't cried since he was 10 years old, the same age you envy for much the same reason. So the closest he came to telling you that he loved you was to tell you that he cherished you one time, and that's because he was drunk. But that's okay because you never expected him to meet all of your emotional needs, but were nonetheless honored by his effort as unspoken as they may have been, to try. And speaking of unspoken, you said not once but twice today that your only evidence that Joe cared about you at all was that he never actually said that he did. In fact, you felt relieved when he said things that can only be described as unloving, whereas you felt uncomfortable when your father described his love for you as rivaling the distance to the moon. But your father did that at essentially the same time he was displacing you almost entirely. And Jackie, I think that's the same time you stopped running toward anything that you love which had the potential to disappoint you, including, but I'm pretty damn sure not limited to, log rides. And then when Joe died, everyone, including his dog, was more entitled to grieve than you were. And last but not least, you are petrified of getting older because A, it means looking back on a life you are abjectly ashamed of. And B, you're sure you're going to be alone when you get there because you are paralyzed by A to do anything about it.
It sounded better when I said it.
Trust me, Jackie. It didn't. Okay, that's what I heard. You want to know what I think?
Would it matter?
Nope, I'm on a roll. You are, by all accounts, a very intelligent, tenacious woman. And if you tell me you've always gotten everything that you want, I believe you. But it's what you haven't allowed yourself to want that needs some serious attention. What's more, you have used this pattern of self-deprecation to deny yourself just about every human emotion under the sun. Is it any wonder 61 looks like shit? Here's the part you don't want to hear.
Here's the part I don't want to hear.
A habit so fiercely embedded in your every personal choice is unquestionably linked to something or some things in your childhood, aside from long locks and fancy toes.
Fancy feet. Crap.
Jackie, I think I can help you. But you've got to be willing to want something you don't think you can get. Our time's up today, but I hope you'll make an appointment to come back next week. Okay. Good.
So, there's that. How long's this shit gonna take?
I don't know how long you're willing to devote to it.
Not as long as a fucking cat, I can tell you that much.
Let's see how far we get with a fucking goldfish. Jackie?
Yeah.
The log ride, did you and Charlotte get to ride it that day?
I don't remember.
Okay.